Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'll welcome you to the Manifested E-Learning Forum. We continue with the subject Leadership and Management. We've been studying the chapter Project Management. In our today's session, we will discuss the characteristics of a project. Having covered the project management concepts, we proceed on to the characteristics of a project. Characteristics of a project. From our definition candidates of the term project, we saw that every project has an objective. So the first characteristic of a project is that one of objective or objectives. Every project has a specific objectives or outcomes or desired outcomes. And the project ceases to exist after objectives have been achieved. Again, from our definition, we saw that projects are temporary. Projects are just ad hoc organization of personnel, materials, and facilities which are assembled to accomplish a goal, usually within a scheduled time frame. And upon the completion of the time or accomplishment of the project, then the project ceases to exist. Once a goal is achieved, the organization is, or the project organization is disbanded, or it may be reconfigured to begin work on another new goal or project. So a project goal must produce something tangible, and it has to add value to the organization. For example, discover a product or a service and so on. So project activities must meet or exceed the stakeholders' needs and expectations. So all projects have these characteristics of objectives. Every project has specific objectives. That's characteristic number one. Again, from the definition, we saw that projects have a beginning and an end. So that is the characteristic known as time frame. Time frame. The project must have a definite beginning and an estimated end, or a definite end. And many projects begin on a specific date, but the date of completion is sometimes estimated because of the uncertainty that comes with the future. So the lifespan representing the start and the end of a project have to be specified in the objectives. So every project has a time frame, beginning and end. That is characteristic number two. Characteristic number three is, again, just from our definition, we say that projects are unique. Uniqueness. Every project is unique. Every project is unique in that it requires doing something different than what was done previously. Uniqueness. Whether it's building of roads or building of houses, if it's a company that builds houses, if it's a company that builds houses for clients or builds houses, then house A must be unique from house B. Not all houses are same, even if the houses are designed or have the same architectural design. The project of building houses can be unique. Uniqueness. Every project is different. It is what? Different from any other project. Every project is unique. uniqueness. Number 4, projects have what we call interdependence of tasks. The tasks in a project are interdependent. All right? Interdependent. They depend on each other. Project requires many interdependent tasks. All right? For example, if it's a project of having a computer department or computerization of the organization, then the network, for example, has to be installed, cannot be installed. You cannot have a network being installed before the hardware. If you are thinking of having computerization in a company, then you may need to do networking of the computers. So the network cannot be installed before the hardware. So there is interdependent of tasks within a project. Projects have to accomplish a task. Then there are many projects or tasks that must be undertaken, and the tasks are dependent upon each other. There are certain tasks that cannot begin before others can start. For example, if you are building a house, you cannot do the roofing before the foundation is laid. The roofing is dependent on the foundation. And the foundation, the house cannot be complete by just having foundation unless the building is, roofing is done to the building. So there is interdependent of tasks. Think of any project. You realize that projects have tasks, and all those tasks are interdependent. All right? And sometimes delay of a task can affect other subsequent dependent tasks. So interdependence of tasks is a characteristic of any project. Progressive elaboration. Number 5, progressive elaboration. Progressive elaboration. Projects are also characterized by progressive elaboration through means that many of the project tasks will be conducted in steps or subsequently. If you have a project, let me think of a simple project like, say, completing CPA. If you have to complete CPA, there is a progressive elaboration, all right? Progressive elaboration. You have to register as a student, you have to book for exams, you have to buy learning materials from manifested publishers, you have to do foundation level first, then you progress to intermediate level next, then you complete with the advanced level. See, there is that progression or progressive elaboration of tasks. Projects characterized by progressive elaboration through means that many of the project tasks will be conducted in steps or sequentially, though some tasks can be completed simultaneously. Progressive elaboration. Moving on to characteristic number 6 is life cycle. Life cycle, project life cycle. A project has a life cycle consisting of conception, design, implementation, commissioning stages, and so on. There are various phases within the life of a project. Before a project is completed, it has to undergo various phases, beginning from the conception of the project. There is the design of the project. We also have the implementation of the project, and also the commissioning of the project, and the bringing of the project to an end. The project comes to an end when the objectives of the project are met. Life cycle. We'll be studying life cycle in our subsequent lessons. Then number 7 is organizational change. Organizational change. Organizational change. A project candidate is not rigid in its lifespan. Changes occur throughout the lifespan of a project, and change must be understood and managed. Some of the changes may not have a major impact, others may have a major impact. However, some changes can affect the project either negatively or positively. But what is important is for the project manager to manage change. Ownership. Number 8, ownership. Ownership. A project candidate must provide something value to an individual or group who will use the project's output product after its completion. And although the project may have many stakeholders means those who have an interest in the project. A project should have clearly defined owners or sponsors. Though there are many people or persons or institutions that may have an interest or a stake in a project must clearly define the sponsors or the owners. The sponsor may be the user, may be the customer or the client who has the ability and desire to provide direction, to provide funding, to provide other resources to the project. So the project can originate at different phases inside or outside the organization. For example, product development and related projects tends to emerge from marketing development, whereas technological applications tend to originate from research and development. But all in all projects have ownership. All projects have what? Ownership. The 9th characteristic, risk and uncertainty. Risk and uncertainty. Every project is unique. Every project encompasses new technology and differs from what was previously done, and therefore projects possesses a significant element of risk and uncertainty, which go hand in hand with the project. So the degree of risk and uncertainty depend upon the type of a project. There are those projects that are highly risky, others may not be as risky as others. So risk and uncertainty is a characteristic of a project. Any project has an element of risk, whether it's a high risk or low risk, because projects entail there's a time frame, there are decisions that are to be made in future. Because of the future element in projects candidates, it's not possible sometimes to know what the future holds. There are certain factors that can impact negatively or positively towards a project. So every project has an element of risk. Then number 10 is control, the control element or mechanism. Control mechanism. Control mechanism. All projects will have what we call predetermined or pre-designed control mechanism to ensure project completion within the scheduled time, within the estimated cost, and the achievement of the project specifications with the desired level of quality and reliability. So each and every project should have a control mechanism, so that as the project progresses, there should be a mechanism to evaluate whether the project is being implemented in accordance to the plan, in accordance with the specifications, in accordance with the scope or the budget. in accordance with the specified quality and reliability. Control mechanism. Number 11, very important, last but not least, is resources. Resources. Projects require time, require money, require people, require technology, and so on. All these are resources. Every project requires time to complete, requires time to conceptualize, requires time to implement, requires time to do the control we talked about here. Every project needs financial resources. Every project needs people, the project team we discussed earlier. Every project has to rely or employ a certain level of technology for it to complete. So resources, candidates provides the means for achieving a project goal. And in recent years, candidates, more and more activities have been tackled on a project basis. Most organizations, to tackle a problem or to reach a certain objective, then most companies are relying on projects. So project teams and project management approach have become common in most organizations. So the basic approach to project management remains the same regardless of the type of project that is being considered. So candidates, these are some of the characteristics of a project. So in this lesson, we've discussed 11 characteristics, though these are not the only characteristics, but I think these are the main characteristics of a project. Number 1, every project has objective. Number 2, every project has a time frame, that is the beginning and the end. Number 4, all projects are unique. Projects have interdependent tasks. We also saw that projects have progressive elaboration, all right? Progressive elaboration. Then number 6, projects have a life cycle. There are various stages in the life of a project. Number 7, organizational change. Number 9, ownership. Number 10, risk and uncertainty. 10, control mechanism. And lastly, resources, which include time, money, people, technology, and so on. That's all for today. In our next session, we'll learn more, we'll share more knowledge on project management. For now, I'll leave you with one assignment. Write short notes on any 5 characteristics of a project. When writing these notes, please do not refer to what we've discussed. Try and see if you can recall what we have discussed in our today's lesson. And before answering this question, please go through the lesson, take down the notes, try to internalize what you have learned, try to correlate what we have learned today with what we learned in our previous sessions. Remember, in our previous session, we defined the term project, we defined project management, and we also highlighted or discussed the various project management concepts. So try to relate what we've learned today with what we learned earlier, because candidates, we learn through repetition and correlation. Try and correlate what we have learned here with what we learned earlier. Correlate also with what you have learned before, because I know you are not hearing the term project for the first time. Try to relate with what you've learned in these lessons with what you already know. Build on what you already know. And when answering the question, please try and see if you can recall what we have learned in our today's lesson without necessarily referring to the notes. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye.